see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy...
The atmosphere in the MotoGP paddock suddenly turned tense after Yamaha's private test at the ARAGON circuit. It wasn't just about the lap times, but rather Toprak Razgatlioglu's frank and candid statement that immediately sparked panic within Yamaha. The world superbike rider finally revealed a fatal flaw in the Yamaha V4 project that could become a ticking time bomb ahead of the 2026 MotoGP season. From the start of the test, the entire paddock's attention was focused on Toprak. His aggressive riding style, extreme late braking, and ability to push the bike to its limits made the data he generated invaluable. However, it was from there that Yamaha's major problems began to emerge. Toprak openly admitted that although the Yamaha V4 boasted a significant power increase over the old inline-4 engine, the bike's character was still far from ready for MotoGP. Toprak stated that Yamaha's biggest flaw lay in the bike's corner entry balance. The Yamaha V4 was considered too wild on entry, especially under hard braking. For MotoGP riders who rely on corner entry speed, this was a fatal weakness. Toprak even implied that the bike didn't feel like it gave the rider complete confidence, something that was very dangerous in the highest class of motorcycle racing. What made Yamaha even more panicked was that this problem wasn't just about the electronics or suspension settings. Toprak assessed that the basic characteristics of the engine and chassis weren't yet fully integrated. Power was present, acceleration was increased, but the transition from braking to cornering felt rough. In simple terms, the bike was fast in a straight line, but not yet docile when it came to aggressive cornering. This statement immediately shook Yamaha's management. The Yamaha V4 was projected as the main weapon to stop Ducati's dominance in the 2026 MotoGP era. If this fundamental problem wasn't resolved now, Yamaha risked falling far behind before the season even started. Toprak even stated that in MotoGP, small errors like this could lead to huge time gaps in a single lap. However, Toprak wasn't completely pessimistic. He acknowledged that the Yamaha V4 had enormous potential and was far more promising than the old bike. However, he emphasized that Yamaha must be bold in changing the direction of development, not simply adding power. The main focus, according to Toprak, was making the bike more friendly when braking and cornering, something that Ducati and KTM already excelled in. On the other hand, Toprak's honesty actually allowed Yamaha to see the reality more clearly. Data from his extreme WSBK racing style revealed issues that might not have been visible if tested by a rider with a more refined style. This is why Toprak's presence is considered crucial, yet nerve-wracking, for the Yamaha V4 project. And here's the full news. The MotoGP test at Aragon, which should have been a moment of optimism for Yamaha, instead turned into a wake-up call that shook the entire Yamaha V4 project. It all started with one name, Toprak Razgatlioglu. The rider, known for his brutal braking, wasn't just testing the bike, but rather exposing Yamaha's deepest weaknesses before the eyes of the entire paddock. From the morning of the first day of testing, attention was drawn to Toprak's every move on the track. The way he pressed the brakes, forced the bike into corners at extreme angles, and remained aggressive even when the bike wasn't fully stable had Yamaha technicians holding their breath. The data coming from the monitors weren't just numbers, but warning signals. And after getting off the bike, Toprak finally spoke. His words immediately sent Yamaha into a panic. Toprak honestly revealed that the Yamaha V4 had indeed experienced a significant increase in power. On the straights, the bike felt much more powerful than the previous generation. However, it was precisely in the most crucial areas of MotoGP that Yamaha made a fatal mistake. The bike's character under hard braking and cornering was deemed unprepared for the highest level of competition. According to Toprak, the main problem with the Yamaha V4 wasn't a single component, but rather the overall harmony of the bike. The engine, chassis, and electronics haven't yet integrated into a confident unit. When entering corners at high speed, The front end of the bike doesn't feel like it's talking enough to the rider. In MotoGP, losing front end feel for even a fraction of a second can result in a crash or significant time loss. This is what makes Toprak's statement so worrying for Yamaha. Because Toprak's riding style reflects the extreme conditions MotoGP riders often face during races. If the bike isn't stable when forced to brake late, it's impossible to compete with Ducati, which is known for its strength on corner entry. Toprak even emphasized that the Yamaha V4 still feels rough when transitioning from braking to cornering. The bike seems to want to stay straight for longer before turning, something that is very detrimental on technical circuits like ARAGON. In the modern MotoGP era, excellence isn't just about power, but how quickly the bike can stop and immediately steer to the apex. This statement made Yamaha engineers realize that they may have been too focused on chasing V4 engine power, while neglecting to develop a bike that's rider-friendly. This mistake could be catastrophic if not corrected now. MotoGP 2026 is just around the corner, and other manufacturers have already made significant progress. Adding to the tension, Toprak also implicitly compared the feel of the Yamaha V4 to that of its competitors. He implied that the Ducati and KTM felt more ready to fight when pushed aggressively. This wasn't because their riders were superior, but because their bikes gave riders complete confidence when attacking corners. However, Toprak wasn't here to denigrate Yamaha. Quite the opposite. He emphasized that the Yamaha V4 had enormous potential, and could even become a dangerous weapon if its development was carried out in the right direction. His harsh criticism was a form of early warning, before it was too late. For Yamaha, the ARAGON test was a moment of brutal reflection. Over the past few seasons, Yamaha had been known to lag behind in acceleration and top speed. The arrival of the V4 was expected to be a complete solution. But now it was clear that power alone wasn't enough. Without the right character, the Yamaha V4 would simply be a fast, unmanageable bike. The pressure on Yamaha was now double. The public was waiting for a revival, the Japanese management was being pressured to act quickly, and every subsequent test would be closely monitored. The fatal flaws revealed by Toprak couldn't be hidden, because the data spoke for themselves, and the paddock knew. Toprak himself left ARAGON with mixed feelings. On the one hand, he saw great promise, but on the other, he realized how formidable Yamaha's challenges were. MotoGP is a cruel world. There's no time to learn. If Yamaha doesn't find a solution soon, they won't just be left behind, but could fall back into the slump they experienced in previous seasons. The MotoGP test at the ARAGON circuit turned into a major surprise when Toprak Razgatlioglu took to the track. What was initially considered a mere familiarization session suddenly became a moment that stunned the entire MotoGP paddock. Toprak's name, previously synonymous with World Superbike, now resonated strongly in the MotoGP team garages, not as a guest, but as a serious threat for the future. From the very first session, Toprak immediately demonstrated a different approach. He didn't seem hesitant, unlike a rider experiencing a MotoGP bike for the first time in an intense manner. Each lap he completed showed significant improvement, as if he had learned the Yamaha's characteristics in minutes, not days. Toprak's use of extreme braking at turn 16 at ARAGON stunned many engineers and other riders, as such a style is extremely rare in the MotoGP class. The excitement intensified as his lap times began to match, even approaching, those of regular MotoGP riders in some sectors. For many in the paddock, this was almost unbelievable. MotoGP bikes demand significant adaptations physically, technically, and mentally, yet Toprak seemed so comfortable. He was able to maintain the bike's stability when entering corners at high speed, then exiting with clean, precise acceleration. What further excited Yamaha was the telemetry data collected from Toprak's bike. The numbers revealed a unique, aggressive, yet efficient riding style. Toprak was not only fast on a single lap, but also consistent over long runs. This was a crucial indicator for Yamaha, as consistency is key in MotoGP. Technicians noted that Toprak's way of managing braking and weight transfer offered a new perspective in the development of Yamaha's engine and chassis. The atmosphere in the paddock changed. The Yamaha garage became the center of attention, while rival teams began sending personnel to observe more closely. There was a mixture of admiration and concern. Several MotoGP riders were reportedly comparing data discreetly, trying to understand the seriousness of this threat. Toprak's name was no longer talked about as a WSBK rider trying MotoGP, but as a potential contender worthy of consideration. Toprak himself was calm, but his confidence was clearly visible on the track. With each exit from the pits, he pushed the limits, trying different approaches in fast corners and technical sections. He was also known for actively discussing with the Yamaha crew, providing detailed feedback on grip, traction, and engine response. This reinforced the impression that Toprak relied not only on talent, but also on mature racing intelligence. What was most surprising was how Toprak's extreme riding style in WSBK actually became a powerful weapon in MotoGP. Many thought his late braking style would be difficult to implement on a prototype bike, but at ARAGON, the opposite was true. Toprak managed to exploit Yamaha's strengths in a way never seen before, leading some rival engineers to question whether they had been too conservative. This test sparked much speculation. Was Yamaha preparing for something bigger than just testing? Was Toprak truly being prepared?
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease, bitten lips, bruised knees. I'm addicted to her, need her touching me, cause she got a bad little waist, and we tearing down this